Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Mayor Mike, and I'm broadcasting from 740 Main Street, which is Town Hall. Now, in just a couple of weeks, half of Town Hall will be closing, half of our staff will be moving to the Community Cultural Center, and then by about January 5th, all of Town Hall will be closed. So future Ask the Mayor, where we take questions from the residents from the town of East Hartford, will be done at the Community Cultural Center. So that's just a gentle reminder that Town Hall will be closing soon. Hopefully everybody had a great Thanksgiving. We're a couple of weeks removed. We're heading toward the Christmas and other holiday season, also New Year's. So let me get my Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays out to everybody as we move toward deeper into December. That being said, we have a small handful of questions, about a half a dozen. We will start with submission number 163. We've been at this probably since February, so we're approaching about 10 months. And people, I believe, enjoy the ability to ask a question and get some fairly quick feedback related to operations of the town hall. So that being said, this question comes from Sandy, and I'm going to prepare Sandy. I don't have a good answer for you, Sandy, but I'm going to read the question anyway so you know what we're talking about. Sandy writes to me and she said she has not enjoyed the weekend because of annoying music. She was awakened to a beat that she compares to nails on a chalkboard. She's asking me, why is it so difficult to find where it's coming from? And I have a pretty good idea that Sandy is off of Maple Street, but I also concur, I don't have any idea why that annoying sound can't be found. She talks about the last 5 years has been less than peaceful in her home. We are concerned about quality of life. Sometimes it's neighbors, sometimes it's an annoyance like just music in the air. That being said, Mayor, can you please find where the heck this is coming from? And the answer to Sandy is, I can't. If you can't locate it, Sandy, with an address, then I'm going to have a heck of a time. I don't know what time of day it's happening. I don't know in terms of what type of music it is and so forth. So my recommendation for you, Sandy, is please call the non-emergency number of the police department. They'll send an officer out. We won't spend a lot of time trying to find it, so it would be even better if you had a time of day and a location where the music was coming from. The short story is, while I sympathize with you, I'm not as equally as able to locate the problem of your music if you're unable to locate it. So for me to send an officer out there, I need a location, I need a time, and I need just a little bit more GIS information to be able to pin it down. That being said, question number 164 comes from Giselle. And a shout out to Giselle. We appreciate your outreach, and your sister's doing a heck of a job here in Town Hall. That being said, she says, I'm a 15-year resident. I have not seen traffic flying by Governor Street like I have lately. Do you think something can be done in regards to this? Because traffic comes right off the highway onto the street, and they're in a speeding mindset. She fears someone will get hurt someday just crossing the street, not to mention that they don't even let she does not even let her kids play outside because the cars are flying by. That is a long-term problem, not only in East Hartford, but around the state of Connecticut and the nation. I don't know if it's related to COVID. Don't know if it's related to just people becoming less attentive to their driving, and cars are simply going faster. That being said, I think you already know because one of our officers either stopped by or reached out to you via the telephone. We made 37 traffic stops on November 30th, 2022 on Governor Street. That won't completely correct the problem, but it should slow a whole host of people down. That being said, I have some statistics not only for you, but for the people at large. We had what we called a Safe Streets Traffic Initiative. And to give you some idea, the police department from April 1st to August 31st issued 1,745 infractions, 595 summons, 608 written tickets, 641 verbal warnings, and then they had 45 where there was no action. So in that, I believe that's a 5-month period, 3,634, we'll call it some type of enforcement action. How does that compare? In terms of 2022, still 2 months left to the year. Well, actually one now, November and December. The statistics I'm giving to you are through October 31st. We produced, or the town of East Hartford, predominantly the East Hartford Police Department, 6,081 motor vehicle enforcement actions. That compares favorably to 5,062 in 2021 and 4,244 in 2020. So we are up well over 1,000, and we will probably be up over 2,000 enforcement actions by the time the year ends compared to 2021. I know that's a big number, but if you're out there suffering from, inconsiderate motorists, 7,000 or even 8,000 isn't enough. So the town of East Hartford, the East Hartford Police Department will continue to endeavor. And through Ask the Mayor, if there are problem areas that you'd like additional enforcement, please just let us know. Our police officers are very accommodating that way. That being said, how does our accidents compare over a 3-year period? And for 2022, unfortunately, we've had 877 accidents. That is down compared to 2021, where there were 1,221, and that's also down compared to 2020, when there were 998. So again, we have considerable amounts of enforcement. The cars are absolutely going faster. We'll continue to focus on enforcement, and just let us know if there's a particular area in town where you see a concern. On to submission 165, it comes from John. Will the tax box in front of Town Hall still be there for drop-offs during the closure of Town Hall? And the answer is no, John. As a tax box, it will not be there. We will be relocating it to the Community Cultural Center. So the good news is you will still have a place to drop off your taxes outside of regular Town Hall hours, and that will be in a drop box at the Community Cultural Center. However, here at Town Hall, the parking lot will be closed, but on the southern portion, in between the firehouse, there will be a new drop box installed, but that will be for predominantly town clerk issues and election return issues. So again, being very clear, town clerk and election drop-offs, say absentee ballots for future elections, Town Hall, south side near the fire department, tax office, Community Cultural Center. So hopefully, John, that explains it. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Submission 166 comes from Eddie. When will the town come and vacuum the leaves again, because the neighborhood streets are filled with leaves, especially Bates Drive? I have reached out to Eddie specifically, and I just want to reiterate, and this should sound like, unfortunately, a broken record for me because I've explained it a number of times, but I'm happy to do it again. 300 miles of roads, that's 150 miles with 2 sides. That's how much our 5 leaf crews pick up over 40 days. They must average about 1.5 miles a day, barring weather and equipment breakdowns. There is no second collection budgeted, and this is what I want to reemphasize. I watch social media. I certainly don't try to manage by social media, but when I watch social media and I see people out there explaining to other members of the community that the town has a second pickup, that is not true. You are misguiding those residents. And what you're causing is a problem for the town because there is not a budgeted second pickup. So when you tell people there's a second pickup, they don't put their leaves out for the first pickup. They wait for the second pickup, which may not come. So do us a favor, you folks on social media. Do not say we're coming for a second pickup because it is not budgeted. However, I want to clarify, we're not going to leave the people that are early in the process stranded. We understand their leaves aren't down. And people, I've actually had a woman say, why don't you start picking up leaves on December 15th? Well, you know what? Then we run into the snow and it's likely we won't pick up very many leaves. So this is a scientific process. It's exceptionally well defined. It's exceptionally well fleshed out. Please, when we come into your neighborhood and we post signs, we're on the website, we're on social media, we're on kiosks, put your leaves out. Frequently what happens is we come through a neighborhood and the neighbors go, oh, I better put the leaves out now. That causes a problem. Please put them out prior to the time we get there. And I know I sound like I'm lecturing, and I probably am, so I apologize for that. Once we come through, we encourage leaf bags and we encourage loose leaves being brought to the drop-off station at the transfer station on Ecology Drive. We will return right through December 10th and do spot pickups especially if you were in the early collection cycle. But for people to say that we weren't by is not accurate. For people to say that we have a second collection is not accurate. We will come back and do a spot basis for leaves that are out. It's not that we missed them, it's that they weren't out when we picked them up the first time. So help us help you. Pay attention to what the town says, not what's on social media, and I think we'll be all better off in the long run. Question number 167 comes from Marcia, and shout out to Taylor and her child. I think it's one, I don't think it's two. Congratulations on being a grandma. That being said, there are new lights and better signalization coming to the Main Street and Maple Street traffic light. Marcia had reached out and said she's concerned about that intersection. It's very dangerous if you're on Main and trying to take a left on Maple. Completely get that. The State Department of Transportation did a survey, and they don't believe it needs a light moving from Main Street left onto Maple. However, I've alerted Doug Wilson, our local traffic engineer, and Mike Senerth, who does signalization for the fire department. They said, one, let's wait. It should be better with the new signalization and the new traffic signals there. If not, Marcia, please reach out. We can add a left turn signal. It's not exactly easy, but the fact that there's new programmable signalization going, if we find out after we get in there that we have to do something, we can. But currently there's not enough demand. But your point's well taken, and we'll kind of monitor that situation. And if you give us another heads up, we're happy to revisit it. The last question is submission 168. It comes from Akeem. And I won't read the whole thing. He's basically wants to see a cleaner set of streets and roads. He wants more improved highways, bridges, corners, and sidewalks. And finally, he'd like me to renovate Mayberry Village. Akeem, I don't disagree with anything you said, but that's a tall order in light of everything else that we're doing. I want to be sure that you understand that residents and businesses have as much responsibility as the town of East Hartford for the collection of trash and other refuse on their own properties, and we're happy to help out by citing them. We pick up the trash on properties that are controlled by the town, and we certainly encourage that for residents and businesses. With respect to the roads, we have 150 miles of them. Remember I said there were 300 miles because there were two sides of roads for leaf collection? So we have 150 miles, and quite candidly, we need to do at least 10 miles a year. Some roads are in better condition than others. For instance, we're doing some spot repairs. I know it's very late on Forest Street, and it's because it's needed before the plows come, and it becomes a mess during the winter. So that being said, we have an engineering program where we do about 10 miles a year. We did it in 2022. We'll certainly do it in 2023. But Akeem, we don't have unlimited resources, so we have to prioritize. With respect to Mayberry Village, there's only two types of ownership there. One is by the East Hartford Housing Authority, and then the other is private owners. So the town of East Hartford does not unilaterally have the ability to go and reconstruct Mayberry Village in terms of adding additional housing. However, we have added an apartment inspection program that is not for East Hartford Housing Authority properties. That is for private sector properties. As they vacate, somebody calls us, or somebody should call us, and before you settle in, we're happy to go there and be sure you have a code compliant apartment before anybody moves in. We're also applying to the state of Connecticut for community investment funds for an overall housing strategy. We would like to buy one at a time properties that come up for sale, renovate those, and do exactly the things that you were talking about, Akeem. Safer housing, larger housing, more affordable housing. But again, that's one unit at a time, only after we get state of Connecticut funding, as an initiative that we'll be pursuing in the future. But I don't suspect we're going to make a dent in all of Mayberry Village for the better part of 1 to perhaps even 2 decades. I know that may disappoint you, but that's exactly where we are. That's how we're moving forward. And that being said, that was the last question. I'm closing for the day. And one last time, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, and a Happy New Year. Take care, everybody.